Hello.
My name is Marcelo Evelin, eu sou choreographer.
In English.
Right? Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm Marcelo Evelin, I'm a choreographer, Brazilian, and I'm here in Berlin to present my work at Tanz Im August. The piece is called De repente fica tudo preto de gente, means suddenly everywhere is black with people, and it's a pleasure to be here. Well, I always work from some questions that are like left over from the previous work. And this piece I was really investigating this idea of massa, of multitude of people together. And I had an interest also to see how I would relate that idea of massa, of people together also with the audience, to create something with the audience.
Yeah.
I was inspired by a book from Elias Canetti called Crowds and Power. And he describes this kind of phenomenon of a massa, of people getting together, and talks about the fear of us to be together. So I used a little bit those ideas to start something that I created with this young group of people and been presenting around.
Yes, and you are from Brazil.
Yes, I'm from Brazil.
And I think that I saw many things there. Like, of course, what is in the name, in relationship with color, because it's not just a mass. Just a mess. I think that because then it felt, the part of the technique of what is there is like how they have this agency, but you have to, as an audience, to be kind of protecting yourself, or at the same time, not protecting, but kind of reacting in relationship all the time. But it's in the dark, and at the same time, there perhaps some references. I don't know if I'm reading too much in relationship with color. But
yeah, well, that's a big discussion. I mean, of course, I can imagine that you see somehow something related with color or race, but it was absolutely not the intention to be. I have in the cast people from Japan, people from Brazil, a black person who is painted as the other.
Black.
And my idea with the black is really something that came from the book of Canetti. He talks about this sort of blackiest spots, that we look for that blackest spot, a kind of almost erasing something. So my idea was to make the dancers disappear somehow, to not give them to disappear their own individuality and actually race and nationality, and create a kind of hole, black hole in the middle of the audience. So the darkness of the piece, it's also, I thought about like bringing really people with not too much a possibility to see, but more to experience something. And indeed, I think the piece is much more a choreography for the audience.
It's an experience directly.
Yes. For me, it's very interesting to see the people moving.
How we are choreographed.
Yes, it's total, because in fact it doesn't change much the reaction, the behavior. I noticed that it's a little bit the same in Japan, in Brazil, in Belgium, or in Berlin. So it is people approach something when they feel that it's to approach or escape a little bit of the situation, but I guess it is very much, in that sense, I'm very happy with the relation with the audience.
Because it kind of breaks, it blurs the boundary between, okay, we are audience, but we are in, and at the same time we are being moved around in a way that is our own choice, because you can stay there, but then you start, being very organic mass. At the same time, it becomes almost like this amoeba reacting to the other amoeba.
There is a kind of ring that somehow creates a space, which is codified. Of course, you can be outside the ring, you can leave, you can move or get dirty because they are painted in black. I like this idea to give the audience the possibility of doing whatever they want, and not have even a pressure of to see something, to enjoy something. It is, I think, very subtle and very risk, because you never know what it is and how the people can react. But up to now has been sort of holding on as an experience. This kind of black hole.
And but I felt how we are normally in this ideas or splits of otherness. Like there is either them, the dancers, and us, the audience, and then it was for me also interesting to relate that with the notions of, I related a lot with being in Europe right now. It's like, okay, the primitive.
Yeah.
There was something about, okay, we're witnessing them.
Yeah.
Of course, for me it was there.
Yeah, I think there is something for me important. It's like the space in between. This idea of space in between, which I also worked a lot in the piece.
Yeah.
What is the space in between you and the other, and between the dancers, among the dancers, but also with the audience.
Yeah.
And I guess you can pretty much see or understand the way you want. I just talked to a person who saw Auschwitz and the whole the dogs of Auschwitz. I mean, for me, it's totally okay. I try to sort of present an experience that you do whatever you want to with somehow.
Yeah, because at some moment I felt like like we organize ourselves always in this kind of circles, so then there is this circling around and gathering around that like the mass is also them, but us, them, watching them. And
I think it's also very interesting sometimes to see like how it goes from fear to curiosity to rejection to attraction, like that it goes through those different states somehow, not only with the dancer but of course with the audience. And it's I think it's quite important to think about the audience nowadays. I'm quite concerned about what can we do and how can we deal with, how can we relate to audience in a way that it's not only the traditional way of presenting something to be seen.
And what have you learned from this process in relationship to perhaps what's next? Because you said that you normally take it from here to there.
Well, now I feel that I made another piece after this one called Batucada.
When was this premiere?
That was spring 2014 at the Kunst Festival. It was actually a commission from the Kunst to make a piece, and I proposed to make a piece for 50 people.
Oh wow!
It was like dancers and no dancers, professional and no professional, like 14 nationalities. Also a group of Brazilians that I brought in, and the piece is called Batucada. It's a bit the same system with the audience. Only much more free in the space, and also not a kind of delimitation of space. It's basically this idea of people mixing with the public or we work a lot with the idea of side to side. So how is to be side to side? We kind of got to a point that it's much more important to be side to side with someone than in front to someone, in the back of someone, but like sort of looking for a kind of equal space. I feel that in terms of massa and getting people together, I'm pretty much done for the moment.
You go for a solo on a stage.
Yes, kind of, kind of something like that, totally in another way. So for now, I'm just starting to collecting some desires or some questions still from these. And see, I'm actually one thing that I can share with you is that with this piece, I'm very concerned about the idea of security in the theaters and among the people. How somehow the art is also subjective to security. Like people are afraid of people getting dirty or not seeing or not liking to be standing up, and there is a whole idea of security very strong, which raises me a question like, how can art exist so controlled by all the rules of security? Insurance policy rules, play things to sign in if you want to do so. It is a big question.
And I think in the United States it's even worse.
I think it's growing kind of everywhere, but I can imagine that it's
for the insurance.
I can imagine.
Liabilities that they call. But I thought about that yesterday because people were like jumping and getting out of the ring and going without.
Sure. It's something that definitely make me think a lot. How can we really explore this space that exists to. And is that really possible? I have a friend that is working on a sort of postdoc about space between what is permitted and what is possible. I found a very interesting space. Somehow that rings a bell for me for the moment somehow.
Well, you keep pushing the boundaries of what is possible and and permissible.
Sure.
So,
it is a question now, I think.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
very nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you.